right? Ready to go?
Yep. Oh, bloody hell! We're just going straight out of the pit lane. Wow. I love this corner. Look at where we are. We are at the Porsche Experience Centre here in Leipzig, and I've got with me a near production ready prototype of the fully electric Porsche Macan. Now, we're not driving this car today, but we're going to be in the passenger seat, heading out onto their test track, heading out onto off-road tracks, and I'm going to tell you what I think from the passenger seat of this new Porsche Macan. Welcome to Evo India, and welcome to our passenger seat review of this new electric SUV. Before we go ahead, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the Evo India channel, and leave a comment down below. What do you think of the Macan going fully electric? Let's first talk about styling, and I'm not going to talk too much about it because this is a completely masked car, so we can't really see the details on it. Even the Porsche logo is masked here. We know what this car is, but it put tape across it. Headlamps, we can see those. You've got split headlamps. This bumper, who knows what it's going to look like in the flesh. Over on the side, we've got wheels that range from 20 to 22 inches in size. That depends on how you spec your Macan. You've got Goodyear tires on this. You've got cladding on the side, whether it'll be body colored or black. Again, I'm not sure. Over at the back, well, the wheels are of different sizes. So you've got wider wheels at the rear, wider tires at the rear. And over at the rear section, now this is again completely masked off. Can't see much, but no tailpipes. The older Macan used to have those nice chunky tailpipes at the bottom. This one, well, there's nothing. Before we get to the driving, let's talk about the platform, because we've got a fully bare Porsche Macan platform over here, and the details are really interesting. This is obviously a skateboard architecture. It's the new PPE platform that's going to be shared with Porsche and Audi. Batteries in the floor. The Macan gets a 100 kilowatt hour battery that's packed on the floor with the weight low down. You have two motors, and one on the front axle, one on the rear axle. And we do know that the Macan will come in different variants, and the top spec variant, the Macan Turbo, is going to have over 600 horsepower and over 1000 Nm of torque. As for the suspension, you've got the option of steel springs or air suspension. The real revolution is on the damper front. You've got two valve damper, which allows you to control compression and rebound independently, giving you a lot more breadth of ability when it comes to driving dynamics. Now, in terms of the wheel sizes, like I told you outside, we've got a variation 20 to 22 inch wheels and different wheel widths for the front and the rear, just like in a sports car. Now, this is the rear section of the car, and this is really interesting. First thing is the motor. It's been flipped 180 degrees backwards. So the actual weight of the motor is behind the rear axle. What that does is give the Macan a 52-48 weight distribution with 52 bias towards the rear. That obviously allows for better traction over the rear axle when you launch. And well, it's similar to a 911, which is actually pretty cool. You've also got a rear wheel steer system. So as you can see, the rear wheel steering is over here, and the rear wheels can turn up to 5 degrees depending on the speed of the car. Another innovation for the Macan is the BMS. That's placed at the rear. Again, that's done for packaging reasons. It helps with space in the front. You get more space up front, and it helps with weight management as well. And at the rear, something else that's interesting is you'll notice two charging ports. Just like on the Audi e-tron, you've got one on each side. One is for both DC and AC charging, and the other is only for AC charging. So you get the option of parking whichever way you'd like. Well, that's it for the tech on the Porsche Macan. Now let's head inside the car and see what the driving is like. Okay, so taxi rides in the Porsche Macan. First thing we're doing is heading off-road. Let's see what that's like. So we're currently heading down a small rutted track, and I must say ride quality is quite good. It feels quite isolated from the road. The Macan has a new suspension system. It's got air springs and a 2-valve damper, which essentially allows you to control compression and rebound individually, which should give you better control. All of this is electronically controlled when you change your drive modes and stuff like that. So right now in off-road mode, it's designed to absorb a little bit better. Now, up a steep gradient, 80% gradient, where pointing straight to the sky, but yep, no drama. And since it's an electric motor, it doesn't even sound like it's struggling. Okay, now we're carrying a little bit of speed through these bumpy tracks, and you can tell at speed the bump absorption is actually a little better. Okay, slight firm edge through the bigger bumps. I need to check what size the wheels are. I will. You'll see it in the Super right now because after I get out the car, I'm gonna check. Now for some slightly more serious off-roading. Yep. We're on 3 wheels. It's wet and it's slippery and we're on, well, stone, but good traction, good grip. I don't know if you guys can see out of the camera, but you can only see sky up there, and I can probably touch the ground if I put my hand out of the window here. Pick some of these berries maybe. And so much of how a car off-roads can also be observed from the outside, and now we're following this other Macan in front of us up these slushy climbs and dips, and there's no drama. You can't see the wheels spin. It's just traction, and they're on road tires. We're on absolutely standard road tires. These aren't all terrains or anything, but just, I guess that's the advantage of electric drivetrains. It gives you so much control over the torque. Okay, now we're going through some water. So the next time Mumbai gets flooded, well, this is a good test of that ability. Now, EVs obviously have an advantage in water because you don't have an air intake, so you can't drown them. But the battery pack does need to be sealed properly and rated for proper water resistance to deal with such conditions. And well, right now the water's up to the wheel centers, and it's comfortable, no stress at all. Yeah, so that's another advantage of air suspension, and that's you can raise the ground clearance to deal with obstacles better. Yeah, so sitting in the Macan, driving off-road, I mean, we're obviously not driving and get a complete feel of what it's like, but you can tell a little bit from the passenger seat how it rides, how composed it is, how it transfers its weight, how just effortlessly it went through everything we put it through. And it was, well, not extreme, but reasonably difficult. And there's no drama, you know, and because it's silent, it's quiet, it just feels effortless. It doesn't feel like it's a struggle anyway. You'll never hear the revs rise because the torque vectoring is so good. You never feel a jerk or shimmy or scrabble for traction. It's just effortless. Quite impressive. Okay, so now onto the tarmac and let's see what that's like. So the Macan, it has over 600 horsepower and some 1000 Nm, something ridiculous like that. So better strap myself in properly, hold on. Because
okay.
I don't know what to expect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Electric torque. Right, ready to go?
Yep. Oh, bloody hell! We're just going straight out of the pit lane. Oh, that's insane. Right, so from the passenger seat, I'm not driving, but from the passenger seat, acceleration unreal, stability on braking. It doesn't shimmy, it doesn't jiggle, it's so stable. Lateral G's, we're pulling 0.9 while he's sliding around. And yeah, 1G, I see 1G up there. Whew, this is properly quick. So you've got tremendous grip, you've got tremendous acceleration, traction out of corners is incredible, and it's silent. It's absolutely silent. Beautiful. Wow, this thing is really, really fast. I'm sure the batteries in the floor, the lower center of gravity, really give
gives you good preciseness and
yeah. I mean, I can't feel any of that, but I'm sure he's having a great time. So something that the engineers explained to us earlier today is that the rear motor has been flipped over 180 degrees. So it actually, the motor's weight sits behind the rear axle, almost like a 911.
Yes.
And that gives it more weight at the rear, so better traction at the rear. And obviously that makes for a little more lively handling. You've also got rear bias with the torque, which is why he was able to just get the tail out, you know, and carry those beautiful slides around over here. As you can tell from my smile, I've had a killer time out on track. These guys were really driving it hard, and the Macan, it is so competent in terms of acceleration, in terms of grip, in terms of sheer speed that it can carry on a track like this. Unreal. The Macan's always been a fun SUV, and that continues. Obviously, there's less emotion because it doesn't have a nice growly engine in it, but you've got to give up something to gain something. This has 1000 Nm of torque. Now, what's it like to drive? I can only tell you that once we're in the driver's seat. So make sure you stay subscribed to Evo India magazine. We're going to bring you the drive review as soon as we get the car.